Have you ever paused to consider why we accept certain fundamental structures in our lives, like the need for a boss at work or even a government that makes our laws? What if the very basis of that acceptance was philosophically unsound? Philosophical anarchists undermine political authority not by advocating for chaos or societal breakdown, but by systematically arguing that no state or government possesses legitimate moral authority over individuals. Their challenge is intellectual and deeply rooted in moral philosophy. The core mechanism behind this undermining is the assertion that individuals possess fundamental moral autonomy. This means each person has the inherent capacity and responsibility to make their own moral decisions, and no external authority, including a government, can legitimately override this personal moral judgment. Philosophical anarchists argue that obedience to the state cannot be morally justified if it infringes upon this primary duty to oneself. They rigorously critique common justifications for state authority, particularly consent theory. They highlight that most people have never explicitly consented to be governed, nor have they signed a social contract. Arguments for tacit consent, suggesting that living in a state implies consent, are deemed insufficient because individuals often lack realistic alternatives to living outside a state system. Without genuine, explicit consent, the state's claim to authority over an autonomous individual is considered baseless. This position shifts the focus from simply obeying laws to critically evaluating them based on one's own moral principles. Rather than providing a blueprint for practical revolution, philosophical anarchism offers a framework for intellectual skepticism towards political power. It encourages individuals to scrutinize the moral claims of government and to act based on their own reasoned judgment, even if that means noncompliance with state directives. Key thinkers like William Godwin, one of the earliest proponents, emphasized that reason alone should guide human action, making external coercion by a state illegitimate. More recently, Robert Paul Wolff argued in his work that a truly autonomous person cannot recognize the moral authority of the state. This does not mean they reject the practical benefits or necessities of collective organization, but rather they deny its moral right to command obedience. Understanding the arguments of philosophical anarchists allows us to critically examine the foundations of political obligation and the legitimacy of the state. It encourages a deeper engagement with our own moral responsibilities and fosters an appreciation for individual autonomy. By questioning the very premise of state authority, these philosophers invite us to consider a world where moral justification, rather than inherited power, dictates our allegiances, leading to a more thoughtful and ethically grounded approach to civic life.